CTN Radio. Hear the difference.
Now the news. I'm Shane Bigham. Officials say China's made progress in pollution prevention and control over the years. Vice Minister for Ecology and Environment, Jai Ching, says the country solved a large number of outstanding environmental problems related to people's livelihoods. He made the remarks on the sidelines of the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China.
2021年全国地级及以上城市
In 2021, the average concentration of PM 2.5 in cities above the municipal level nationwide dropped by 34.8% compared to 2015. The proportion of good air days reached 87.5%. The risk of soil pollution was effectively contained. It also achieved the goal of zero solid waste imports.
The official also said a quarter of energy consumed in China now is produced from renewable sources, up from 15% 10 years ago. Senior members of Britain's ruling Conservative Party have laid out rules of the contest to find a successor to Prime Minister Liz Truss. Truss resigned after 45 days in office, marked by turmoil, triggering the second Tory leadership election in 4 months. The party's chairman says the new leader will be chosen through an expedited and binding online vote. Ollie Barrett reports from London.
A leadership campaign to replace her will be rapid. The Conservative officials who are running that process say that the candidates, whoever they end up being, will be whittled down over the course of the next week. The next leader of the party will be known by Friday of next week, and that person will become the next UK Prime Minister. It has been a chaotic period for British politics, but the idea of an imminent election is probably unlikely. Whoever takes over the Conservative Party knows that they are miles behind Labour in the polls. That person will want to see a period of stability and try and regain some popularity for the Conservatives before calling an election.
Spain, France, and Portugal will build a gas pipeline connecting Iberia to France and the rest of Europe. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez announced the plan after attending an EU summit on the energy crisis. Sanchez says the pipeline will increase the volume of the two existing links between Spain and France. Authorities in Chad have confirmed that dozens of people are dead after security forces opened fire on anti-government demonstrators in the country's two largest cities. A curfew has been imposed after days of deadly violence. The demonstrations were against interim leader Mohamed Idris Deby's two-year extension of power. Officials said 30 people were killed in the capital, in Jemena, and another 32 in the second-largest city, Mondo. Other protests erupted in the southern towns of Doba and Sar. The Turkish central bank has cut the policy rate by 150 basis points from 12% to 10.5%, despite high inflation. The central bank also signaled a similar rate cut for November. The bank had kept the interest rate at 14% for 8 months and lowered it by 1 point each in August and September. Turkey's annual inflation hit over 83% in September, and that's the highest in 24 years. Official data shows Japan's consumer price index rose 3% in September, for the biggest increase in more than 3 decades. The dollar rose to 150 yen for the first time since August 1990 on Thursday. The widening gap between Japanese yields and those elsewhere continued to drive the yen lower. A senior official says Russia expects to export more than 50 million tons of grain in the 2022-23 agriculture year. Speaking at a forum, First Deputy Agriculture Minister Oksana Lat said this year's yield will enable Russia to provide grain to the domestic and international markets. The deputy minister says Russia is willing to supply grain to all countries in need. On Thursday, the Russian Foreign Ministry also confirmed the country's readiness to supply both grain and fertilizers to ensure food security in the world. The International Olympic Committee says the Beijing 2022 Olympic Winter Games reached a global broadcast audience of more than 2 billion people. Independent research shows Beijing 2022 is the most digitally engaged Olympic Winter Games in history, with over 2 billion viewers. The figure represents a 5% increase from the viewers who watched the Pyeongchang 2018 Games through linear TV and digital platforms. The 27th Havana International Ballet Festival is kicked off in the Cuban capital after a 2-year pandemic hiatus. Running through November 13th, the biennial festival also hosts companies and ballet dancers from countries including Russia, Spain, the United States, and Italy. Organizers say ballet performances will also take place in various provinces in Cuba. And that's the news. I'm Shane Bigham.